Hey, how's it going? Ryan here, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to Stardew Valley. Today, I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to show you all the mods that I've been using for my playthrough of Stardew Valley. Now, I've been an avid fan of Stardew Valley pretty much since it was released 5 years ago, and I come back to this game pretty much once a year since then. And this is the first time that I decided to go ahead and mod my game, which, for those that don't know, means that you add different files into the game that can change how it plays or how it looks significantly. As a quick disclaimer, these mods are only available on the PC version of Stardew Valley, where you can go in and modify the files. You unfortunately cannot mod your version of Stardew Valley on mobile or on console. And with that in mind, let's go ahead and get into it, starting with a lot of the mods that I've downloaded that are more there for aesthetic purposes. They don't really change how the game plays too much, but more or less just how it looks. So the first one is called Chonkins, and as you can see, what it does is it replaces the original barn animal sprites with a little bit chunkier, cuter kind of farm animals. And I love this one so much. I think it makes all the animals look funny. I think it makes them look adorable. This was actually the first mod I ever downloaded. I didn't know how many mods I was going to download, but to kind of get used to it, this was the one that I downloaded first, and I'm so glad that I did. I'm probably never going to be taking this one off. While we're at the farm, I wanted to go ahead and show off this next one too. So this one is called the Hot Spring Farm Cave. In the original game, it's just this small section of the cave that you see with the 6 bins if you chose the mushroom farm. But this mod actually adds on an entire separate section to the right-hand side, which doesn't really serve any purpose. It just is there for more aesthetic reasons. But if you go down to the second floor, or I guess the basement floor, I'm not sure. This actually allows you to do things like put more storage down here. You can put chests down here if you're running out of room. It's called the Hot Spring Farm Cave because that's what this is. This is treated essentially the same as the spa near the train tracks. So in a single player game, there's no real easy way to rest to restore your energy without going to the spa. But if you're on your farm, and let's say you're doing a lot of things on your farm and you don't feel like going all the way to the spa, you can just come down here and regain your energy that way. My character is a high enough level that I don't really use a lot of energy when I do things, but still, I think this adds so much depth to the cave and it just makes it look so much nicer. As we make our way through the secret woods here, at the very end of it, you will notice that there is no longer a statue here, but instead, Totoro. Totoro, of course, is a famous character from the Studio Ghibli movie My Neighbor Totoro. For those that are familiar with what the statue does in the Secret Woods, it is pretty much the exact same thing. I can't talk to Totoro right now because I actually did the objective already, but for the first time you talk to Totoro, it does say something different, but if you know what the objective is, it is the exact same thing. It's just for some reason they decided to change the dialogue on it. So I actually had to find these ones to get this one as an example, but the next one that I have is Elle's Town Animals. Elle's Town Animals is a mod that reskins the critters and animals that are kind of found all throughout Stardew Valley. So these birds are actually a reskin of the birds that are usually in the game. It just makes them look a little bit more cartoony and, in my opinion, just a little bit cleaner as well. Kind of goes with the vibe of the other barn animals and stuff that we have raised in the farm too. You know, even though, again, it doesn't really add that much, just seeing them every now and again definitely continues to add to the aesthetic that I'm going for. This next mod is a fun one for you Animal Crossing fans out there. Now, usually when there's a dig spot in the game, it's represented by 3 worms poking out of the ground. But this mod, the Animal Crossing Dig Spot mod, actually makes it that nice star design that happens whenever you're running around and you see a place to use your shovel and dig up a fossil or something like that. As an Animal Crossing player, it's easier for me to spot this than it is to spot the worms. And I will say that I've actually been digging up a lot more often once I replace the worms with the star marks the spot, I guess. All right, I have 2 more aesthetic mods. One of them is called No More Bowlegs, which is a really interesting one. So when you look at the characters of Abigail, Leah, Maru, and Emily, when they stand still, they have this weird, like, gap in between their legs, and the way that their character stands looks very awkward. No More Bowlegs basically removes that and makes them stand a little bit more cleanly. So once again, just trying to make the game look a little bit nicer. And the last mod, if you talk to them, you'll actually see that their portrait is significantly more detailed and different from the original game. I think it is wonderful. It adds way more depth and detail to the characters that you talk to, adds more character to them, and I just think it looks, again, just like pretty much all the other aesthetic mods, and the reason for them, just nicer overall. And now for the mods that do significantly change the way your game plays. I put all these under the title of quality of life mods just because they change the way that your game plays in such a fashion that it may elongate how long you play, given how much easier it does make things, but that might not be the right term for it. But that's just what I'm calling it, more for ease of use than any. The first one that you can kind of see in the upper left-hand corner is what is known as a to-do list. This allows you to essentially create a checklist of things for you to do, and you can do things like make it so that they repeat on certain days. They only show when it's raining. You can make it a header to make it easier for labeling. And this allows you to do things like, let's say, for example, I wanted to catch a carp. I could put carp there, and then I can make it so that it only occurs when it's raining on the farm. So you'll notice if I uncheck that, it goes away. So this is just a nice way to keep reminders for yourself without having to write them down or open up a notepad on your computer. I just recently installed this one. It's the most recent mod, and it's definitely helped me remind me of things like, you know, milk the cows, harvest the eggs, and things of that nature. Now, this next one doesn't really break the game, but it is definitely a quality of life one for me in the fact that I feel like I'm saving a lot of time. So when you transition from one area to the next, it goes into a fade to black and then a fade in from black. But this mod, the no transitions mod, does exactly what it says, and that is to remove that completely. Now, you simply go from one area to the next without waiting that 2 to 3 seconds in between for the area to load. So I don't know how much time this is going to end up saving me in the long run, but anything to reduce like unnecessary transition, I was totally for. The biggest mod that has helped my playthrough of this game on this particular playthrough is this mod, the Chests Anywhere mod. I would say that this is a mod that a lot of people are interested in when they look into modding their Stardew Valley. It does exactly as it says. Basically, if you put a chest down anywhere on your farm or in your coop or in your farmhouse or even in the mine, what you can do is you can then label them and you can access them from anywhere on the map. So if you're in the middle of the mine and you didn't bring food with you, all you have to do, go to your food storage, pull out some food, and there you go. Now your food is in your inventory. I would go as far as to say this is the most groundbreaking quality of life mod that you can install, given the fact that it makes going back to your farm to get things that you forgot trivial, which I think is kind of important to learning how the game plays and being efficient with your energy and your resources. But as I mentioned, I've been playing this game once a year for the last 5 years, and I wanted to try something different. I wanted to make the game feel a little bit different, at least in regards to how it plays, and this certainly does that. The next one is forecaster text. As you can see here in the bottom left, there is a text box that pops up that shows what the TV says. TV, Pelican Town forecast, says that it's going to be rainy tomorrow and that the spirits are, they're kind of neutral today. So this saves you a little bit of time in the beginning. This pops up at the beginning of every single day. So instead of going over to your TV and figuring out exactly what the weather is going to be, it's going to rain all day tomorrow, you simply start with that, and there you go. Now you don't have to go to your TV, you just read down here and you can kind of plan your day accordingly. This next one I installed, but I realized very quickly I don't really need to use it anymore. It's the ability to sit down and refresh your stamina. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a little bit of my axe here to show that now I'm at 402 stamina. If you sit down, you'll see your stamina slowly go back up, and now I'm at 406 again. So in the beginning, I didn't even really find this that helpful, given the fact that the stamina refreshes so slowly, and it took a while for me to even get from like 2 to 30. And so I thought it was convenient at the time, but now it's basically just, you know, it's there because why not? So yeah, sitting and resting. Coming over here to the community center tab, if you hover over an item that you need in a particular bundle, the community center helper will actually not only tell you what it is, but then tell you the ways to get that. So for example, in the fodder bundle, I need apples, and it tells me that the way to get apples is by apple trees that you can get from Pierre's during the fall. Now, I do believe that you can get apple tree seeds from the traveling merchant when she appears on Friday or Sunday as well. But this was very helpful to find all of the other things that I have been missing as well, because even though you can, of course, look that stuff up on the Wikipedia, it's much easier to keep everything in-game and have that information readily available without having to go to a secondary source for it. I have strawberry wine being made right now, but it's going to take a while, so I don't really have anything available to show this one, but the next one is called Better Artisan Good Icons. What this does is whenever you get an artisan good, such as wine, what it does is it adds a nice little icon next to it that shows what product was used to make that particular product. So if you used hops or strawberry, you can very quickly, easily at a glance tell what it is instead of having to go through the trouble of trying to figure out what it is. Coming back over here to the farm animals, one thing you'll notice is this icon above their head for a heart. What this does is it adds an indicator that shows, quite simply, that you have not pet the animal that day, and when you do so, that heart goes away. So you can always make sure that your animals are kept as happy as possible. As you can see, also for the cows and goats, there's also an indicator next to the heart that shows that they are ready to be milked. And so that's also very helpful to make sure that you don't forget to get as much animal product as you can that day. Now, these two fall under the mod of Better Ranching, and ultimately the best part about Better Ranching is it prevents doomed milk or shearing attempts whenever you attempt to milk or shear things like sheep as well. So instead of milking a cow and failing, you will 100% succeed all of the time. There's no easy way for me to show this next one, but you're just gonna have to take it on faith that I have it involved, and it is no Fence Decay. And again, just like pretty much every other mod, it does exactly as it sounds. Usually when you have a wooden fence like this in the game, as time goes on, they will eventually start decaying, and eventually they will break completely. No Fence Decay basically prevents that. And that also applies to gates as well. So this whole structure that I have around the barn animals with this fencing here will never ever fade away. This next one is a pretty big one and provides quite a lot of information and use for you as you play your game, and that is the UI info suite. The UI info suite shows a lot of information that makes it trivial to have to do things like go and find out what they are. So for example, in the upper right hand corner here, you can see that it's telling me and reminding me the traveling merchant is in town because it's Friday. It's also telling me whose birthday it is and what my luck was that day. So I can figure out whether or not it's important for me to do things like go to the mines or anything like that. That way I'm not wasting my time. Of the other options I also have on, when I switch weapons or tools, you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, there's an experience bar that pops up and quite simply just shows you how far along you are in that particular profession, to leveling up to the next one. Going over to the map, you'll see a bunch of different character icons on the map now. This gives you that character's location at that given time that you are looking at the map. So for example, when Jazz, Penny, and Vincent all go home later on in the day, if I open up my map, they will no longer be in the library. They will simply just be in their homes. Now, I could go on and on about what the UI Info Suite mod can do, but essentially a good way to look at it is this. If it's something you need to pull up the Wikipedia page to find out information for, such as how long it's going to take for things to grow, or how long the duplicator takes for things to make things, or even how much things sell for, UI Info Suite can tell you how much things sell for, as well as that particular stack, or, you know, the area of a sprinkler or a scarecrow. The UI Info Suite will do. And then if you go into the options, you can actually turn on and off a ton of those different things if you don't want to know things like harvest prices, the range of scarecrows and sprinklers, because I know that looking at that giant green square can be a bit of a pain sometimes. Going back to the villagers, you can actually see that it provides a list of things that they like. This is not actually in the UI Info Suite mod. This is actually another mod called Gift Taste Helper. Pretty much you hover over a character and it shows you exactly what their favorite gifts are. So all the things that would provide you the most hearts at once. But of course, if you want to find out what their general likes are or their dislikes, for that instance, you would have to pull up the Wikipedia page and see what it is there. The last one that I have installed is called Skip Intro. You know how when you pull up the game for the first time, the Concerned Ape logo comes up, and then if you click on the logo, it plays a big, loud quacking sound? Skip Intro gets rid of that and takes you straight to the main menu. That way you can go ahead and go right into the option you want to go to. If you know you're going to be doing primarily solo, there is actually an option as well for it to take you straight into your load files instead. That way, instead of having to click on it and watching the sliding transition, you just go straight here, you click on the file that you need, and you're good to go. But that'll pretty much do it for this video. As always, if you enjoyed the video and found it useful, be sure to give it a like. And if you're new to the channel and want to see more videos in the future, be sure to subscribe as well and turn on notifications. Always helps. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it very much. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And until next time, take care. Bye now.